I'm PC3410 Thackeray, Lancashire Constabulary. I've been asked to record some of the features of the river wire near to Allotment Lane in relation to the Nicola Bulley inquest.
Good afternoon, good evening everybody, and welcome back to the channel Break the Ice. Now in today's video, because it has been thrust back into our face, we are talking about the Nicola Bulley case. A case which I thought had long been left behind us. But the BBC has brought it back with this documentary. I don't know what that documentary was all about. Go and check out my last video on this channel. That video is my review on that documentary and my review on the case as a whole. She shuts the boot firmly. She's walking with quite a pace. She just seems quite miffed off, quite annoyed at something. Peter Fordham was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement. We are told by the search advisor that the bank is steep and B, willows running between the water and the bench.
Doesn't look that steep, does it?
No, it doesn't. She was the first person to notice willow scurrying between the bench and the kissing gate.
This is a letter that was sent to the coroner by Peter Fordham, and this letter was ignored. And she's got this sly, smug smile. Emma White was massively prominent in the search for Nicola Bulley. The SIO retires early, the police chief dies, and the chief constable retires.
This is side scan, so it sends a signal out and it will hit the target on the bottom and a body will look like a body.
The sleeping giant, which was this Nicola Bulley case, has been awoken. I do not know why, but a massive can of worms has been opened and there's more questions that are being asked. This case has always been shrouded in mystery and suspicion, and many questions have been asked, and there's loads of things that don't make sense. I just want to thank everybody, by the way, for watching my recent content, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. I really do. Right. We are here to talk about PC Thackeray's reconstruction. Let's go back and put that in some inverted commas. His reconstruction video of how Nicola Bulley would have travelled down the river on the 27th of January after entering the water. How she would have travelled down the river as a dead body. Okay, that's very important, because PC Thackeray's travelling down the water alive and in a life jacket. Nicola Bulley, if she went in the water, if she died at the water at the bench area, firstly, she would have sank to the bottom, because that's how bodies act. And secondly, she ain't got no life jacket on. The first thing we need to understand is how a body will act that has drowned in a river like the river wire. If you drown in a river like that, you will sink where you've drowned and you will go to the bottom of the river, roughly in the area where you've drowned. So that's the first thing to understand. And if they are surmising that she's gone in at the bench area or at the bank, she would have been right there. Unless it's a raging torrent or some white water rapids type river, which it isn't, she'd be where she died. And according to the inquest, Nicola was dead within 10 seconds of entering the water, having swallowed 2 breaths of water. So within 10 seconds of entering that river, at the bench area, she would have died. Therefore, she would have sunk and she would be in that area below the bench. PC Thackeray enters the water and he is alive, of course, and he's wearing a life jacket, which is quite the opposite of Nicola Bulley, who, as we've heard, the inquest has said she would have died within 10 seconds. We know how bodies act in this type of river. She would have sank where she died, and she's not got a life jacket on. So immediately, this doesn't make sense. He's alive with a life jacket, floating along down the river. The coroner asked PC Thackeray, if you have fallen and gone over the edge of the steep section, I don't know where the steep section is, by the way, are you going to stop before you hit the water? PC Thackeray replied, no, you just go into the water. This comes as PC Thackeray estimated that Miss Bulley travelled down the fast-flowing river at 1 metre a second. Right, now let's move on to this river then. This is a River Wyre. We've all seen footage of this river. This is not a fast-flowing river. This is not a raging torrent. This is not some white water rapids river. This is a sleepy little river in St Michael's on Wyre that is not moving fast. We've seen the videos and we've seen pictures. So to call it a fast-moving river, it seems like gaslighting. In the BBC documentary, they said that the river was slow-moving on the top, but it was fast-moving below.
The report from the diver was that he was really having to swim against the current on the bottom, because from the surface where we were stood, it looked like the river wasn't moving at all. So I knew that there was enough water on the bottom to basically carry a body out of that search area.
At a metre a second, I'm not having that for a moment. Peter Falding was there. He was there for 2 days, and he has said that this river was not moving fast at the bottom. It is virtually as is on the top. So A, we know how bodies that drown, how they act. They will drown and they will sink where they die. We know that the river was not fast moving. It's a sleepy little river, and it's quite insulting to say that she floated down the river on the 27th of January at a metre a second. She would have sunk to the bottom, so how could she have possibly floated down the river at a metre a second on that day? Now, for argument's sake, let's just entertain for a moment that Nicola did float down the river on the 27th of January. Let's say that she did. Let's say that she floated down and she got over the weir. Okay? Because that's what PC Thackeray shows us in his reconstruction. Firstly, the question is, why wasn't she seen? Now, if they are saying that it's because she was being carried along the bottom of the river, that's probably why they say she wasn't seen. I would surmise it's probably because she wasn't floating down the river on that day at all. Now, he says in this video that the river, on the date that this reconstruction was recorded, it says that the river was walking pace, but on the day Nicola went missing, the river was moving much quicker. Now, I sadly can't find any videos to show what the current was like on the day Nicola went missing. I have got footage of a stick being put into the water near the bench. This is right near the bench area. And this was at 15:56 on the 8th of February, 12 days after Nicola went missing. And then, this is the same stick 6 minutes later, and you can clearly see that it's not moved at all. This is a light stick, not a human body. It just doesn't compute that Nicola would be travelling down the river at a metre a second on the day that she died in the River Wyre. Now, if we take a look at PC Thackeray as he's going over the weir, seems to push himself over a little bit. Again, let's remember, he's alive, he's got a life jacket, and he's giving himself a little, what looks like a little shimmy over this weir. He's buoyant. The life jacket is such a big factor in this reconstruction. Like, it's quite unfathomable to put a life jacket on and reconstruct how a dead body would go down a river. Nicola, and we're actually entertaining the idea right now that she could float down the river, contrary to how a dead body would act. Nicola would have been weighed down, as her lungs would have been full of water. The inquest told us she died within 10 seconds after swallowing 2 breaths of river water. So imagine Thackeray at this weir's edge with his life jacket alive. Now imagine Nicola Bulley dead and her lungs full of water.
But there's a lot of water going over it. Even though the water is now down from where it was on the day. It comfortably pushed me over, float over the top, and straight into the faster flowing water at the bottom. It's not powerful enough, there's not a big enough drop on the other side to stop you. Again, we did search the other side of that weir to make sure there was nothing trapped in it. As I stand up now, it's waist deep, flowing faster. The bottom is rocky, difficult to stand up on. It does shallow to here where I'm about knee deep.
He kind of pushes himself off. How's Nicola? Even if she got to this point, how's she getting over here? How's she getting over this way? Here's a picture of the way from the 6th of February. This is from like the other side of the way. The river is coming towards us, okay? There's a picture of the way took on the 6th of February. Notice how just over it, more, towards us in the shot. It's very shallow. So, even if she got over the way, surely she'd get stuck on the rocks. Her way down body, moving down the river, would hit those rocks. How could she get over them? How is it possible to get over them? I can't find any footage of the way from the 27th, but this is the closest I've got to the date. This is 10 days after she went missing. Now, this is something that is massively important. This may make people understand a lot more about how she eventually got over the way. Something to remember as well. It was predicted that Nicola would be found on the 19th of February. Have you questioned why that is? Have you wondered how they got that right? Now, this is very, very, very interesting. This is from the College of Policing report itself. Okay? This is from page 32. Resources and tactics were planned for a large-scale search on the afternoon of the 19th of February, as the tide ebbed. Sunday, the 19th of February, was also the first high tide since Nicola's disappearance, with 20 cubic metres of water per second moving over the weir. This predicted tidal movement would likely contribute to a floating body on the surface, moving with the tide. The extra water flooding the river and going back out is what would likely have carried her body. Bear in mind, she's going to be bloating around this time. This high tide predicted is what would have carried her body over the weir with the extra water. It's in the College of Policing report. Now, what does that say? That says that she was before the weir, before the 19th. Does it not? Meaning that before the 19th of February, Nicola was between the bench area and the weir, which just so happens to be the location of the island. The island where Peter Falding claims to have found Nicola and has now shown the sonar is between the bench and between the weir. So this is why it's very likely that the sheer amount of water flowing on the day of the 19th of February is why Nicola was able to be picked up and carried down the river and was able to get over the weir on that day, to travel downstream and be spotted by someone. That someone being Jason Rothwell. So I give it to you that it is very, very likely that Nicola was in the area between the bench and the weir. That includes that island where Peter Falding has got sonar images to show that he found Nicola Bulley. Don't forget that this was the day that had the first high tide since Nicola's disappearance. And it's in a College of Policing report. All the extra water, the flooding of the river, in my opinion, would be what would lift Nicola and be able to move her down the river and quite easily get her over that weir. If they were able to predict that on the 19th of February, that extra water could get her over the weir, so why is PC Thackeray suggesting that she got over the weir on the 27th of January? Doesn't sit right with me at all, and it doesn't make any sense. I'll leave that one with you. Please leave your comments below. Please tell me what you think. What is going on? What's happened here? Are we ever going to get the truth? Share your comments. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video. And peace out.